Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Indian Society of Landscape Architects, on a very special occasion of World Landscape Architecture Month, and being a part of Isola MP chapter, I would like to welcome all the participants to our Vartalap talk show by a very eminent speaker, Farhad Contractor. He is an ecological conservationist. He is a known figure in the field of water conservation and rejuvenation of ecological systems. He has worked extensively on Thar Desert, northern, southern, and central parts of India. Thanks to his effort that he has been able to successfully revive not less than 10,000 water structures, which includes river systems, kuis, berries, alone in Rajasthan. Currently, he's working on Noyal and Bhavani River of Coimbatore. His work has directly benefited around 6 lakh people. Apart from this, he has been working towards the strengthening of communities through various sustainable agricultural practices and reviving forests. He's working with government and non-government organizations to be able to build an ecological, sustainable, long-term prototypes that can be replicated in various communities. He's quite famous for working on ground and directly with people, which makes him easily approachable. So all the students and professionals on board with us, uh, please feel free to ask him questions. So without further delay, let us begin our discussion with Farhad. Hi, Farhad.
Hi.
I would request all the participants to keep their mics and cameras switched off in order to have better experience of the discussion. So Farhad, let's begin without further delay. And let me first stop sharing the screen.
Yeah, tell me.
So Farhad, I would like to ask you, first of all, I would like all our participants to know some of your works and how you have been working with the natural systems of this vast landscape.
Okay, first let me introduce my friend Shagun. Okay, Shagun and I work together on some programs that we have at this place, in a place near Mandava, which is in Jhajnu. Excuse me if the network goes up and down, but that's what Digital India is all about. Okay, so Shagun helps to do this computer business because I am not too good at that. And so when to do that screen sharing, that all of that is also what she helps in. Okay. The whole idea being of what is landscape first and how does it play a role. Before that, I would like to get into a little bit of what ecology is about and how does it play a role and how landscape is one part of it. When one gets into the larger aspect of ecology, one needs to see climate, land, water, flora, fauna, and human beings. All of these work in tandem. There is no separation, and so I don't approve too much of this departmentalization in terms of landscape separate and architecture separate and design separate, that part. I believe it has to be a combination. And I have been trying to grapple but do that since the last 30 years today of how we can work through all of this together and not independently, sorry, but project wise, which is what is the chalan that is there today. And so I would put it in a way that start to see it holistically first, then come into situations where you want to see specifics, then enter into the specifics, and don't only work sitting on a table, but also get down onto the ground. Because when you will have the conceptual understanding, knowledge, and build that with on ground work, is when a beautiful combination comes up of an overall working situation. It's, it's simpler to just move the mouse and keep taking out drawings. I would not at all go by that, because I would say it's simpler to get onto the ground, understand, build your own knowledge with it, try and see what wisdom already is there, and then work through that. So I would say that we should have a combination and not just a one type, a type that should be there. And I am not at all in favor of this different compartmentalization, as I call it. And so let it be synergies that come together. Ji. Haricha.
So Farhad, can we look at some works that
You
you
want to
have?
see some work? I can
Yes.
show you some presentation. Can you see my screen? Is it possible? Can you see? Can you see something?
Mm,
No? Wait. You can?
no, no,
You
no,
have
no,
to
not
please
yet.
tell me.
Not yet.
Okay. Should I press this entire screen? Now. Can you see something?
Yes.
Guys? Yeah? Please keep
Yes, I
telling
can
me,
see.
okay? I am
Yes.
not so strong in reading this. Yeah? I want you
Yes,
guys
I
to
can.
read this. I want you guys to read this a little. Please take 2 minutes, read through this. I feel it is important in today's context to understand and to know where we stand vis-a-vis what was the situation a few decades ago. Tell me once you're good with it.
Yes, we read it.
Right. Can keep this in mind when we discuss. Okay, is an open discussion. I can be asked if you want. 125 mm annual average rainfall, and for me this has got to do a lot with landscape, with water, with land, with architecture, with design, with structural engineering, all of it. 700 years old in the state where I am just now, Rajasthan, and it still carries on. And it had gone out of use and been finished, got it back, 2 years of work into it. This is in the town of Jaisalmer. For sure, architecture students who must be there must have seen this at some stage or the other, because there's a lot of architecture students who go to do measured drawing, details, all of that of the fort. So in the back, if you see, you can see the fort, and this is Gatsi sir. Okay, rainwater harvesting become the new style of India in the last 5 years, with hardly anybody understanding what it is all about. And there's nothing new about it. It's been going on since the last 300 years. And if you see properly, you see the terrace on the left side. It is such a small terrace. And you can see the black line from the terrace coming down is water, which is harvested into this tank, which is below the ground at around 80,000, 90,000 liters. And you can see the holes from where the water goes into it from the catchment. See the catchment and see what is the cleanliness and see how it is kept even at 300 years. And so rainwater harvesting and rooftop rainwater harvesting both used to happen very efficiently, very thoroughly, because this is what you need in, well, those times, also today's times more so, in order to live. And so water is not a commodity, but a way of life. Another kind of a taka, they're called takas. Okay. And so when people don't need to get into the catchment, but when communities want to drink from it, you take it out from the taka and put it through the tube which is there, nali, which goes out. The ghadas are filled there and people use it to drink. Very good picture. I don't know whether people will get, but what is this man trying to do? He's just walking by, standing for 10 seconds with joined hands, because the respect, love which is there for the system, for the environment, is what he believes in. And that is what he is putting through to us, that it is a way of life. And it is every day which is there in my blood. I don't need to be told that you are supposed to do this. Two-tier systems of water harvesting in terms of talabs, and once it goes down to 3 years, then you have the white structures which are called berries, which give you water for the next 3-4 years, because in 10 years, 7 years, 6 years are drought years in this region, with 120, 115 annual average rainfall. You still have two-tier systems. I will keep putting slides as Richa, you can keep talking and asking me, okay? Just to give some jhalak of the kind of systems that one can work on, and what I will term as landscape also. It is not just water. Yeah, we can keep discussing and keep talking.
So thanks, Farhad. The big question, the elephant in the house, is during this times of pandemic, and when we all are struggling to manage and try to arrange our resources. what do you think localized availability of resource, and especially in the rural parts of India, actually helps to strengthen the community?
The most important is the last word that you used, which is community. I will first talk rural, then I will come to even urban. Though I will say urban needs it more today because rural has kept its community living, still surviving and on to a great extent. And if I can try and show you a picture. What people think is, how can you have this as drinking water? I can show you at least 200 pictures where people drink this water. I'm just giving examples to understand. We in urban India feel कि नल में पानी आता है तो सबसे साफ पानी है और आरओ में से फिल्टर कर दो तो भगवान आ गया घर में, है ना। आरओ में से अगर पानी को फिल्टर कर दो तो भगवान साक्षात घर में आ गए। और ये आदमी तो बेवकूफ होगा कि डायरेक्टली तालाब में से पानी पी रहा है। अब ये समझ की बात है और ये जीने की एक व्यवस्था और शैली की बात है। Sorry, I'll keep switching from English to Hindi. Okay. If anybody has a problem with Hindi to English, you please tell me. Yeah. So now the question is, community is most important. And taking the situation of the last 1 year, and you can have so many more examples of the last 100, 200 years that communities have been surviving through various pandemics like what have been going on. It's not the first time that you have a pandemic happening. It is that when they will own it and will it be theirs, it will be a different situation. When it will be somebody else's who has to come and give it to me, it is a very different situation. And so the question being that, am I the owner of my resource, like a part of the larger community, or is it only me? And this is where the difference of urban and rural in India still is alive, where when people come together and work, it is a very, very different ball game because it is theirs and it is not somebody who has come and given. And so it is a matter of a dependency syndrome, which I put it across as that, are we dependent on some X institution, some government, some situation which will come and give to us, or are we ourselves taking on our own resources, working through them, understanding them, and taking the onus and ownership of building them and maintaining them. What pictures I'm showing you and I've been showing you from before are all community owned and made developed programs, some of them from scratch where there was literally nothing, and they are kept in that way because if it is a community which takes over and decides that it will do its own resource building, it will work that way. If somebody has to give it, then, well, it can become like Hoskas Lake, or where you have select city malls coming up on natural drainages because you have chosen that Nike and Reebok are more important than the water that you will drink. And so people from all cities who may be into this may please take a look that where have we gone, because we had around 600 systems in Delhi, 500 systems in Bangalore. What have we come to today? But we have chosen to build Gurgaons. Then that is the choice that is taken. So go by the choice. Then say that save Aravali, then that's a different ball game altogether. And so I would say that these are the times when we need to come together as a nation. It is not about urban or rural alone. It is to come together as a nation. And when you have to come together as a nation is when your strength and nation building is what is really seen and understood. It is also necessary that a country understands and has its own respect and pride. Because when the respect and pride is not there, is when you become beggars. And well, beyond a point, beggars are never choosers. And so we need to understand, take a call on what is it as a nation, as leaders in this country, that at every level we can build and strengthen the other so that generations can live happily. Yeah, my take would be this, Richa. Fatah.
Farhad, when you have worked directly with people and on ground, uh, what kind of challenges have you actually faced? I mean, there might be so many different people, so many different thoughts, different experts, different
Hmm.
domains. How did you try to bring them along to work for a cause?
Okay. Now these are huge big processes, okay? You have to believe in processes in order to 1 second. How do I get out of this? I want to put on slide. Get out of this. Yeah. Okay. Uh, I want to put through to you two things. One is that you believe in yourself is when you believe in other. It is very, very important. Okay. And you have to believe in your own community, your own people. You have to believe that younger people who want to come up, build on, understand, work through, have to be given the right support at the right time. And it is very necessary for us to understand that everybody requires support sometime or the other. But it has to be at the right and the early stage of when you are hand holding and walking. It's like a small child, no? You're born, you don't start to run from the day that you're born. So this is essential to understand. I chose to live with communities, and so I work with communities, I don't work for communities. When I chose to live with communities, I very clearly took a decision that I will live with them, I will be part and understand their life, their life systems, how they will be going through their, well, daily situation, yearly situation, their food, water, health, way of living life, all of it. And then I decided that I should be there, and only then will I be able to really be part of theirs. if I am sitting somewhere in some another set standard office and trying to give some passion, that's not going to work. And so I decided to live with communities and do this, what I have been wanting to do and what my passion is. I also believe that every day you will face some challenge or the other. You're not supposed to run away from it. It's very easy to put up your hands. कि मैं तो क्या कर सकता हूँ. I would say that it is necessary to be standing in difficult times, which helps more and strengthens more oneself and the community than to say that you fend for yourself. And so it is very essential that we understand that at the end it is the community and its strength that will take us through. And maybe ecology, that may be whichever medium or subject or field, I don't think that matters beyond the point too much. But one should be very strong in this, is what I have understood and learned. And when the person needs the support is when you should be standing. Otherwise, it makes no sense. If you tell me that there have been situations where I have had tough times, yeah, I have them every day. It's not some one day, because these are large drawn processes. When these are long processes, every day is about understanding, is about grappling, is about some people wanting to work through it, some not wanting, some wanting to get into decision making, some not wanting to be part of decision making. There is a full gamut of things happening because everybody is a human being. And all of that plays a role. G. What all I keep putting is all that the community keeps working on, and it is communities which keep doing this work. जी आप बताएं.
Yes, Farhad. Yes, Farhad. So we have with us students and professionals and academicians from various fields. And is there something that you would like to tell them where they, from their point and from their stage, they can also contribute directly by working with people, by working with communities? And how is this process actually? I mean, how does one initiate this process?
Be very clear in life of what you want to do. When you're clear in life of what you want to do, you will do that. Okay. I am not against an understanding and building of education, but I am for sure against a standardized education system which is prevalent today and which does not have the openness and flexibility for a student to learn what he or she wants to learn. I myself dropped out and didn't go to, after a point, standard schools and colleges. That doesn't mean that I don't work today. That doesn't mean that I don't have a situation where I cannot do what I have not been able to do. Yeah, if I've been doing what my passion is in the last 30 years and I carry to do it till I live, yeah, that's more than enough as an example that I need to tell and show myself. The thing is that be clear on what you want to do. Don't stop. You will have problems, you will face difficulties, you will come to a point where you get frustrated. Have the patience, have the courage, and keep going. It does not matter in terms of the result that is there. It is the effort that you put in is what matters. And I have been doing that with hundreds of people every single day. That's what my role is as a facilitator, which I feel is more important than just working on some structures. And so I would say, if you have it in you, give it your best. Don't stop. You can build skills. I am again saying, you can build skills, but have passion. Have that, make the choice. Live by the choice, go by the choice. Be clear of what you want to do. It will take its own time. Don't get frustrated on it. And I'm being honest about it. It's not that if you go to some SEPT or SPA or some IIM or IIT only when you understand and learn. Yeah, sorry, but that's not really true. You can keep studying, can keep learning till the day you live, and that can be of your choice that you do. Not necessarily that what is poured upon you or what is forced upon you is only what you do, and that is called education or learning. Also, it's not necessary that only if you will get those tick boxes is what will matter. It never matters how many tick boxes you tick. At the end, when you sleep in the night, you need to be honest and true to yourself, and that is what will matter. I will say this.
Farhad, you had shared some very interesting pictures. I mean, in your slideshows. I mean, could you tell us the story behind some of them? You know, when communities are actually coming together, and then
Okay.
after a point,
One,
they must be taking whatever their understanding, local understanding, or the built wisdom of that area. So, could you
okay.
tell us some story?
One. Okay. One example. Okay. I am coming to the least rainfall area of this country. The least rainfall area of this country, which is the India-Pakistan border, Jaisalmer district. Ramgarh is the region. It rains around 70-75 mm annual average. In 10 years, 7 years are drought, but not consecutively, but for sure 2-3 years drought consecutively. I am putting to you a practice which is at least 700-800 years old. It's no rocket science, okay? It's 700-800 years old, and it is about how you harvest rainwater, and I will keep flipping through the picture. You grow this. Okay, I go back to the picture. This land is only and only community owned. This is never privately owned by any person, even today. Revenue records of 1952 have this written as community land. The yield which will come will be equitably distributed amongst all who live and work on this land. I worked on at least 90, 100 such systems. I'm showing you one aspect, one example. Now, when you talk food and water security, We grow the best wheat. The best wheat is not grown in Punjab. We in Rajasthan grow the best wheat. Anybody, any agricultural scientist can come, check it out, see, eat, and I promise you, he will say we grow the best wheat. Because there is no fertilizer, there is no pesticide, there is no DAP. This land is matured by itself with this water collecting or collating. They understand geology, hydrogeology, geomorphology, well, at least 100 times better than any student going into any school or college and studying today. And come to a point where if you see at a distance, you will see sand dunes. Next to it is one of the best wheats that is grown. Now, this does not happen just in the air. There is an understanding, there is a study, there is a teamwork which comes together and does this. Can you imagine? No land parcel in 2021 which is owned independently or individually, even today owned community wise. And when this happens, the community makes sure that it understands this, builds its own mechanisms, and strengthens itself to work through this. I would say that it's about the respect, the pride, and the dignity that you have and build within the community and yourself, of how you can, in true sense, be self-sustainable in terms of your food, water, agriculture, whatever, blah, blah, all of it. Now, this is not so simple. Yeah, to show it on some screen and talk about it is a different thing. To experience it, to live through it, and to have the pride is a very different thing. This needs to be understood on ground and to be lived through. So, well, one model of what is possible, and I'm not just saying in terms of rural and urban, okay, no need to divide and get into that. I can show 50 examples of urban also. It's just about an example of how we need to be people who believe in ourselves. And that belief is very, very important and crucial. Yeah, you can go ahead, or you want me to elaborate on this or talk about it more? Tell me.
So Farhad, that was very nice. That was very interesting. I mean, you have actually given us a lot of takeaways from this talk show, and majorly, if I would like to sum up, then I would say the takeaways are as follows, where you have suggested to work and build your own knowledge framework and work in sync with the knowledge and the wisdom that is already inherited by the place. You've talked about understanding and taking ownership of these natural systems, and and not depending upon agencies per se for being provided or being facilitated, and that I think allows for localized availability or localized richness, which actually instills respect and pride within the people who are involved, directly involved. And working with people, working on ground has got its own benefit, and that is something that all the schools, all the individuals for anything that they want to achieve in life will have to get down to. And so now I would like the participants, if they have any questions, they can ask. There are few questions in our chat box, and maybe we can take them one by one. There's a question by Anurag Bagre, and he says, thank you for a wonderful talk. How do you approach to resolve the livelihood versus natural ecology conflict? Example, water bodies affected by small scale household textile dye industry, etc. So have you come across some situations like this?
Okay. There is always this conflict that's going to be there. Like how there is a conflict of, well, within the ecology, also in terms of, say, animal corridors and humans. So these conflicts need to be first understood from both sides. Encroachments are a very big issue, and I was involved in a situation where I was working on getting back around 35, 40 lake ecologies and systems at some stage. And I also work on such conflict situations even today at so many places that I work in, where you come to a point whether you have to decide between, well, to be straight, human beings, greed, and environment's respect and dignity. I would go by the second, to be honest about it, from my experience and understanding, and I've been able to work through. But I'll be honest on one part, that it is a process in which you have to work through. It is not about right or wrong. It is not about this way or that way. If you can work through it, I can show models where I have done that and come to a point where a balance of both is what is met. And one needs to understand why it is essential for a balance to be there. When the water bodies will be encroached, well, you'll come to a point when, well, you're almost coming to a point where you're committing suicide. Because even today, with all the destruction that we are doing as a human race, we are still being alive because the environment is a little merciful on us. Tomorrow, when it starts to show us a little bit of really what and how we have behaved, it'll be a different ball game. And so I would say it is about dialogue that needs to be set in. It is about an understanding that needs to come. And it is about creating a balance where you come to a point where you change people's mindsets. When you change people's mindsets is when you can come to a stage where you can achieve the second. I have been doing that. Some places it's very positive, some places, well, you have all sorts of situations that come in, and so sometimes you cannot do a lot into it. But yeah, I would not stop on it. Jay.
There's another question by Snehal. She's saying, good morning. My question is, who are the stakeholders, people who are involved in such projects, and what role do they play?
Stakeholder, very good morning to you, Snehal. Stakeholders are at times, first and foremost, it's always people, it's always communities. Okay, they are the largest stakeholder, always. If they are not the stakeholders, after a point, it will die off. बिकॉज इसका कोई करता धरता नहीं होता. जब करता धरता नहीं होता कोई चीज का, तो वो तो कोई आता है और कोई करके चला जाता है, तो वो उसका माना जाता है, वो अपना नहीं माना जाता. So community is always the largest stakeholder. Second is, if there are organizations who play a role into it as catalysts, then they are stakeholders. There is always panchayat, government bodies, depends at what level that program is what the stakeholder is. There may be individuals who may play a role into it in terms of resource persons. They are also stakeholders. So I would say that all who play a role into that process and that program are stakeholders. Jay.
There is another question by Prabhasharan. He says, thank you, sir, to put light on how you have been reviving water systems and its importance to human beings. My question is, in a cultural town like Kedarnath, what importance does river or lakes around which are partially diffused into various other ecosystems? In the same scenario, when water shortage is not a problem, what more can be done to rethink the importance of the place?
Okay, I will answer it in a different way. And we cut down and destroyed the forests, and we came to this situation. It is not about water there or not there that your eyes can see today. It is about how a full ecosystem will survive and sustain it for the next 2, 3, 4 generations. We have decided to do, we have decided to not be respectful to ecologies. We have decided that we are the only greed bearing human beings who want it all and want it our way. And that's not going to happen, because after a point, that's not how Srishti works. That's not how larger systems, 4.2 billion year Earth systems work. And we will need to understand where we stand, what is our position, and how is it that we will need to understand and build the delicate balance. It is also not about access that we have as human beings. It is about how a living system of a river or a lake or a water also lives. We think that that is not living. We think that is a product, which is where we are going wrong. It is not a product. It is not a thing. It is a living ecosystem. And we'll have to understand that it's a living ecosystem and respect it as and how it respects us. And this is what is necessary to do. So I would put this in that way. Beautification. Well, I will hate that word, to be honest, because beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, and there is nothing like beautification. A river ecosystem by itself is very, very beautiful. It depends on the eyes that you have to see what beauty is. Ji. Haricha.
Yes, Farhad. I think there is a similar question by Mr. Rajesh Savarkar. I
Yeah,
would
I
take.
saw it. I saw it. I saw it, so I combined it together.
Right. So there's one question by Sachin Paliwal, and he says this is regarding the first slide. आज भी खरे हैं तालाब. A book by this name describes a community in Rajasthan which specifically worked on bunding for creating lakes. Will it be possible for you to shed some light on that?
Written by my guru, worked by me. Whenever you want the book, it's available in a PDF high resolution version. I can give it to anybody in this world. Do read it for sure. Okay. That is exactly what I've been trying to show just now. That's exactly what I do. And I would say this is a state which is proud and has the understanding even today to show to the world a way of living life. Please travel, please understand, please go through this. And as I said, whatever is required in terms of the book, the understanding, the work, yeah, is what can be given and shared to you. We, from putting the book together to working on ground, live by those principles and understanding. Embankment is one part of a lake system where the water comes and collects, and it is a very, very important aspect. It's also about engineering. If I put it in today's terms, there are particular ways by which it is done. Compaction is essential to that. But most welcome to take it, to use it, to work on it. Ji.
There is another question by the treasurer Isola MP chapter. He is asking, good morning, what do you feel how to do a balanced approach to improve catchment of rivers, lakes and all water bodies?
Catchments are very, very important. As always, it is never the end point. It is always from where it flows and from where it comes in terms of water that is important. We need to protect and we need to restore catchments. That is where we are failing. Well, I work in 10, 12 states of this country, so I can almost say that in terms of our country, we are failing on protecting and restoring catchments. And we think that end point, if something happens, that is what it is. And I would say that it's an important question that you put across. The balanced approach, I would say, in terms of an approach, would be that we first understand what catchments are. We also understand how topography works. Also understand how geology works, because that has got to do not only with surface water, but it's also got to do with, in layman's term, using groundwater. And so when most of the times this is a problem where encroachments happen, and people don't realize and think that the final point of collection is what matters. It's never the final point of collection that matters. It's always from where it comes is what matters. And so we always need to protect catchments. Ji.
So, thank you, Farhad. And we also, he was the treasurer of Isola MP chapter, Mr. Sarang Bhide. We also have the secretary, which is Sonal Tiwari, with us. And Miss Sonal, are you there?
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
I am good, sir. Nice to hear from you again. It is a pleasure, and your
Always welcome. Always
yeah,
welcome.
your approach always fascinates us and motivates us to better our teaching to get to these type of achieve these type of goals. So thank you, sir. Thank you again. On
Always welcome.
yeah,
Please keep doing the good work that you guys are doing. Okay,
sir.
we need to build generations, as I always keep saying. It is not about one individual or not. Yeah, but we need such hundreds of individuals, leadership points to strengthen, to strengthen the society, to strengthen the nation. And that is what we need. 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 And that is what us as a nation, and that is what is nation building. Ji.
Yes. So thanks again, sir, for this wonderful talk, and yes, and thank you, Richa, for organizing such a lovely lecture. Okay.
Thank you, Sonal ma'am. Thank
Thank you,
you,
guys.
Farhad, for
Very
sharing
good.
your work and your thoughts in a very simple
Welcome.
and a very lucid manner. Thanks to Isola MP chapter and the team behind for providing this kind of platform to disseminate the strength of natural landscapes and this, specifically in these trying times of pandemic. Uh, Thanks to all the participants for joining today. And I hope this would have triggered some thoughts. This would have inspired you to work in progress and make a better India. Stay with us because we have many more talks and discussions lined up in upcoming days. So stay safe till then.